Hey guys, it's Adam with RC Logger, and once again welcome to my workbench. Today I'm going to show you how to properly install the PPM receiver, the RTF receiver, on the NovaX 350. Let's go over the components. First and foremost, obviously I need my NovaX. I've already taken my gimbal plate off of it, and I have my mounting screws here. I also have my receiver, stock receiver. I've got my telemetry cable, my PPM cable. I've got a fully charged LiPo battery. I've got my transmitter. For tools, I've basically got a pair of needle nose pliers to assist me. I've got a 5.5mm hex driver. I've got a pair of snips. I've got a couple of zip ties here, 4 zip ties, plastic ties for securing the antenna wires. And I've also got some double back foam mounting tape. I'm going to need that to properly secure my receiver in place, and additionally, in case I need it, I have a pair of scissors to cut my tape. So that pretty much covers what you're going to need to do this installation. Let's go ahead and start by routing the wiring for the receiver. So I'm going to carefully remove my canopy from my NovaX. There is a very small wire that connects the canopy to the flight control board, so use great caution when pulling the canopy off and removing that cable. Let's see, there we go. Okay, so set my canopy off to the side for now. I'm not going to need that. Let's begin by routing our wires. For starters, there is on the power control board, there are a bunch of ports. We're going to utilize 2 ports for this. We're going to utilize the telemetry port, which is closest to the front. We're also going to use the PPM in port, which is also closest to the front. On the power control board, there's some white ink print and a showing of a little tab that sticks out. What I'm going to do is I'm going to find the tab that's sticking out on my PPM wire, and I'm going to plug it in so the tabs are facing on the same side. Then I'm going to take my wire, let's flip this guy around, and I'm going to route it through the battery mounting strap holder. It's going to go through here and come right back down and out of the front, just like that. I'm also going to do the same thing with the telemetry cable. I'm going to plug it in, and it's only one direction you can plug this in, so line the tabs up and the holes up accordingly and plug it in. So now this wire is also going to route right along with the PPM wire. Push them in here. Sometimes you need small fingers, or you can use your needle nose pliers to help you. In this case, I think, got lucky, yep, I got a hand on it, there we go. So this is going to sit like so. These are going to sit like this. Wires are routed through. I can go ahead and reattach my canopy because I am done in here for now. So again, plugging the canopy wire in carefully. I normally, what I do is I kind of secure the flight control board with a couple fingers, line the wires up, kind of hold the flight control board in place while I push down and secure that clip. So now the connectors are all secured. I can snap the canopy back in place. We're done in there. We can flip the unit over and begin with mounting the receiver. For starters though, let's go ahead and plug that bad boy in. Now, on the receiver itself, we have the PPM pin, and I'll show you a close-up of this, and we have the telemetry pin. So what I'm going to do is start by plugging my receiver in, the PPM side, and you'll notice on the print there is an indication, the PPM, there's a signal, a plus, and a negative. And the signal wire is the wire that is the port that is closest with the tab sticking out. So that will help me identify which way this goes. If I plug this in backwards, I'm not going to get signal. My receiver isn't going to work. So make sure that the tab is facing in, or the S lines up. So we're going to plug that guy in now, and we're also going to plug in the telemetry port. The telemetry port, just like on the other side, can only be plugged in one direction. So that will take care of that. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to install our bind plug, which I did not tell you I had one of, but we are definitely going to need that. This will come with your stock transmitter receiver. So make sure that you have this guy available before you get started. So I'm going to plug the bind plug in right now, and I have my wires kind of laying loose. Everything's just laying here, and that's totally fine, because the next step we're going to do is actually bind the transmitter to the receiver before we finish the installation. And we need to do this because once we install the receiver, we're not going to be able to access the bind plug again. So I just kind of have everything laying loose here, and that's totally fine. The next thing I need to do is install my battery and power my NovaX on. One thing you're going to notice is I've removed my propellers. Just for safety. There's no reason the NovaX should start, but I like my fingers, and sometimes you just gotta take those necessary precautions to make sure you cover yourself. So I'm going to plug my battery in now, and my NovaX is going to go through blinking, and it's going to give me a white flashing front and rear LED indicating that it is looking for signal. So the next thing I'm going to do is turn on my transmitter, but before I do that, I'm going to hold down the bind range test button just like so and flip the power switch. Now you'll notice that the LEDs change colors. The receiver went into binding, and it is fully bound, or it should be fully bound. Let's try that again. Sometimes this doesn't happen according to plan, and that's okay. And in this video, if this occurs to you, we're going to troubleshoot it right now. So I might not have held my bind button long enough. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to power my transmitter off. I'm going to hold my bind button down again. I'm going to hold it down longer this time. There we go. That's the problem. So I didn't hold my bind button down long enough. Make sure you do that. I just learned a valuable lesson with you, so we're on the same page. Additionally, I can tell I'm bound now because my LED on my receiver is solid. So that's a good thing. Now, with the unit on, I can go ahead and remove the bind plug. And you'll notice I'm good to go. Blue light's flashing. If I were outside, this blue LED would be solid because it would be getting satellite lock. So now my receiver is 100% bound. I'm going to unplug my NovaX. I'm going to shut my transmitter off. And we're going to move on to installing the receiver where it needs to go. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to locate my double-backed sticky foam tape. I'm going to need two pieces because the receiver is actually going to sit in this little nested area right here. And in order for it to get properly mounted, I need to make sure I have enough foam sticky tape built up. So I took two pieces here and I just put them together back to back to build myself a nice little foam layer. I don't know, it looks like 2 or 3 or maybe 4 millimeters thick. Something like that will work fine. I'm going to sizably mount this up, but I can see I need to cut some of my foam tape because I got a little bit extra protruding off of the side and I don't need that. So bust out my trusty pair of scissors and size this up. Let's give them a cut right there. It looks like a pretty good location. And here we go. Yep, that's nice. We'll take that all day. So my foam sticky tape sits here. I'll remove the other side and then I'll show you where to locate this guy. So you're going to turn the receiver over and you're going to when you mount the receiver, you want the front edge, this will be the front edge, as close as you possibly can get it to this rubber strap here. And I'm just going to push it into place like so, and the sticky tape is holding it. Now I have my receiver wires that I need to do routing on, so that's the next step. I've got my zip ties. I'm going to use 2 of them on each arm, and I'm going to mount my receiver wires to these lower arm supports. So I'll just wrap my zip tie around here. First one closest to the base, second one closest to the motor pod. Let's make sure I'm in the shot. Cool, just like that. Now make sure you got these nice and snug because you don't want this wire coming loose and going into your propellers and then you're chewing up your receiver and you're upset with yourself because you didn't secure them tight enough. Next wire will run down this side, on this other side of the gimbal mount, and it'll run down this arm. And I have red here, but if you have some black ones then you can color coordinate and it'll look a little nicer. I don't have any, so we're using red. Finish this guy up. Grab my pair of snips. Let's cut the excess waste off here. Boom, boom, boom. Sweet. Garbage. Now we have the receiver nice and neat mounted. We can take the gimbal mounting plate and we can put it back on. You'll notice the reason I moved this PPM receiver this way, as close to the front of the battery strap as possible. When I put this gimbal mounting plate on, the PPM lead passes just in front of it. So if you put the receiver too far back, you're not going to get your plate back on. Future receivers, it's very likely that this pin that sticks straight up will be 90 degrees, and you won't have to worry about that. You'll be able to send it wherever you want. First generation owners, this is how this works the best for everyone, so just keep that in mind. I'm going to hand start my 5.5 millimeter nuts onto my gimbal mounting plate. And finish tightening them off with my driver. Whoops. Let's make sure we get that last guy. Tighten them all down. No need to overdo it. And there we go. That pretty much sums it up. My wires are routed. If you want, you can go ahead and zip tie these two together. I leave them loose. I guess it doesn't really matter. It's kind of up to the end user. You can do a little bit better routing. You might be able to get a zip tie around here or something like that. But to me, this looks pretty good. I'm pretty happy with it. That pretty much concludes the entire process of how to install and mount and bind your receiver. So if you have any questions, you can find us at support.rclogger.com. Thanks for watching.